Turkey's longtime leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan took the oath of office, ushering in his third presidential term that followed three stints as prime minister. The Turkish leader will announce his new cabinet later. The lineup should indicate whether there will be a continuation of unorthodox economic policies or a return to more conventional ones amid a cost of living crisis. Mr. Erdogan, 69, won a new 5-year term in a runoff presidential race last week that could stretch his 20-year rule in the key NATO country that straddles Europe and Asia into a quarter century. In power as Prime Minister and then as President since 2003, Mr. Erdogan is already Turkey's longest-serving leader. The country of 85 million controls NATO's second-largest army, hosts millions of refugees and played a crucial role in brokering a deal that allowed the shipment of Ukraine grain, averting a global food crisis. President Joe Biden signed a bill that suspends the US government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling, averting what could have been a first-ever default with just 2 days to spare. The House of Representatives and the Senate passed the legislation this week after Biden and the House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy reached an agreement following tense negotiations. The Treasury Department had warned it would be unable to pay all its bills on Monday if Congress had failed to act by then. Biden signed the bill at the White House a day after, hailing it as a bipartisan triumph in his first ever Oval Office address to the nation as a president. The bill signing, which was closed to the press, marked a low-key symbolic end to a crisis that vexed Washington for months, forced Biden to cut short an international trip in Asia, and threatened to push the US to the brink of an unprecedented economic crisis. Heavy rains intensified by Tropical Storm Avar fell on Japan's main archipelago, halting trains and triggering floods and mudslides in central and western regions where residents were urged to use caution or evacuate. Up to 10 inches of rain was forecast in parts of western and central Japan through Saturday evening. More than 1.27 million residents in vulnerable areas, including in Mai, Wakayama, Aichi, and Shizuoka prefectures in central Japan, were warned of possible flooding and mudslides and advised to go to evacuation centers as of Friday afternoon. Television videos showed swollen rivers in the central areas of Wakayama city, including one where brown water rose as high as the bottom of a bridge. There were also reports of 2 people being swept away by the swollen rivers, NHK Public Television said. Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II, heir to the throne in one of the oldest monarchies in the Middle East, is officially married to Rajwa Al Saif. On Thursday, the couple tied the knot in an Islamic marriage ceremony at Zahran Palace in Amman, Jordan. It followed a reception at Al Husseiniya Palace with over 1,700 guests. The glitzy event was the biggest royal wedding in years. Britain's Prince William and wife Kate Middleton were among the numerous royals from various places across the globe who attended the wedding. Others in attendance included Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary of Denmark, Crown Princess Victoria and Prince Daniel of Sweden, Princess Hisako and Princess Suguko of Japan, Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, King Philip and Princess Elizabeth of Belgium, and King Willem Alexander, Queen Maxima, and Princess Catherine Amalia of the Netherlands. Most of the capital appeared quiet on Saturday, but tensions were running high after 2 days of violent unrest in several cities that has killed at least 15 people, wreaked untold damage, and alarmed Senegal's neighbors and allies. Angry over the sentencing of populist opposition leader Ousmane Sonko, crowds protested in several Dakar neighborhoods, including the university, starting fires and throwing rocks at security forces after his party mobilized supporters. The disruption continued overnight and mobs smashed windows and looted at least 2 gas stations in the Aukam and Nagor districts, while an Auchan supermarket in densely populated Grand Yoff was torched and ransacked. Rubble littered the roads that were scarred black by the fire. Tesla CEO Elon Musk once again became the world's richest man after shares of French tycoon Bernard Arnault fell 2.6%. The two billionaires have been in a constant neck-and-neck fight for the top spot in Bloomberg's billionaire index. The Bloomberg billionaires tally predicted Tesla's CEO current net worth to be $192 billion compared to Arnault's $187 billion. Arnault, the 74-year-old French business tycoon, had first surpassed Musk in December last year as the tech industry was struggling and luxury showed resilience in the face of inflation. He founded LVMH, one of the world's largest conglomerates, and owns luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Hermes. According to CNN, while LVMH shares are down 19.7%, Tesla shares have risen 65.6% in the year to date. This year, Musk has gained more than $55.3 billion, mainly because of Tesla. Raging wildfires burning through the Canadian province of Nova Scotia have destroyed several houses and forced more than 16,000 Canadians to evacuate their homes. Around 16,400 people have been forced to leave their homes near Halifax, Nova Scotia's largest city, according to a BBC report. The blaze also led officials to declare a total state of emergency in Halifax. The fires, which span a total of more than 25,000 acres and have been deemed out of control by officials, have destroyed at least 200 buildings and caused huge plumes of smoke to tower over the region. More than 200 crews from agencies across the province have been sent to help battle the blaze. Fortunately, there hadn't been any reports of deaths or injuries. On social media, many residents posted videos of the wildfire, which they have described as aggressive and apocalyptic. North Korea's attempt to launch its first military spy satellite has ended in failure after the rocket crashed into the sea and Seoul recovered some of the debris, state media said. The launch on the first day of a 12-day window it had announced to put the satellite into orbit took place early on Wednesday, the Korean Central News Agency announced. The Cheolima-1 crashed into the West Sea of Korea as it lost momentum due to abnormal startup of the two-stage engine after one-step separation while flying normally. North Korea's KCNA announced shortly after South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff had said that the projectile had disappeared from the radar. The JCS earlier said it had detected the launch at about 6:29 am, prompting alerts in Seoul and Japan, which were later lifted. The flight was the nuclear-armed state's sixth satellite launch attempt and the first since 2016. It was supposed to put North Korea's first spy satellite in orbit.